today on Carpooling with Ben, I've got Rhode Island's internet mogul. If they could make a internet czar, which I think they do, it would be Miss Jessica Rhodes, Mrs. Jessica Rhodes,
Yes.
wife, mother of two, and owner and creator of InternetConnections.com. Jessica, thank you for joining me.
Interview Connections.
Interview Connections.
Yeah,
What did I say?
Internet Connections.
Interview Connections.
It happens all the time.
Interview Connections. Do you own InternetConnections.com?
No, but I probably should.
If you bought that, you could probably sell that to like Cox.
I know.
Or
I wonder if
Verizon.
it's available. I'm going to check it out. I'm going to go to GoDaddy as soon as
I was just gonna say GoDaddy or Bluehost.
I own a lot of domains.
Do you really? How many domains do you own?
Probably some of them have expired. I haven't reviewed them, but I've probably owned a couple dozen.
Okay. Do you want to go through them? Because so many viewers will check every one, and you'll now have a little bit of traffic on each one.
They're not that I mean, they're all around like podcasting. Like I've owned podcasttoolkit.com, podcast book, podcast interview book, podcast promo graphics. These are all my $1 million business ideas that I've never implemented.
One day.
Yes.
Crazy time. Pumpkinspice.com. I should have bought that years ago. I would have been huge with millennials from September to November.
Yeah.
So, but you are a millennial, incidentally,
Yeah.
and we're not going to talk age or anything. But you've created this business out of a necessity that you identified with podcasters, and your reach is really you do stuff all throughout the country.
Yeah, internationally, we have clients. I've had clients in France, the UK, Australia, and I just met somebody. Met via Facebook chat who listens to my podcast, lives in Bangladesh. So really all over. I mean, that's the amazing thing about working online and internet business is there's just people all over the world.
So describe to me when a person contacts you, what can they do with your business and who are you serving?
So we are a guest booking agency for podcasters and guest experts. So we work with clients who host a podcast and they need guests to interview on their show. We find them and book them for interviews. And then we also work with small business owners and entrepreneurs who want to be interviewed on shows, on podcasts. We find podcasts in their niche and we pitch them to the host and we get them booked. So it's a niche. Basically, PR agency is the closest way to describe it to people that aren't really familiar with podcasting, but we only book interviews on podcasts. Okay. And some internet radio shows, but mostly internet radio shows that also put their radio show on iTunes as a podcast.
How many podcasts are there out there? I mean, besides Wicked Roadie, which Mary Larson and I host.
Which is a great show, by the way.
Thank you.
Yeah, I listened to it.
Did you hear that, Mary?
It's a great podcast. Yeah, there's hundreds upon thousands. I mean, I don't know what the number is right now, but there's literally, tons of podcasts launching every week. There's just an endless amount of podcasts out there. And the cool thing is, we work with our clients being entrepreneurs and small business owners. A lot of the value they get from being on podcasts and hosting one is that connection and relationship with the person they're interviewing or with the person that's interviewing them. So a lot of people are getting a lot of business and a lot of traction in their company, even if there aren't a lot of downloads. Okay. Like there could be, 50, 100 downloads on a podcast, but they could get, 5 sales from that show because they're right in front of their target market. Which is a really cool thing. It's niche marketing. And people are, I'm getting calls from people that want to be on podcasts and they've spent thousands of dollars with public relations agencies and on publicity campaigns where they're, trying to get on radio and TV and all these big traditional media. And they don't get anything from those spots because they're just in front of such a wide and general audience and people are kind of watching and listening passively. Whereas when you're on a podcast that's very, very niched and targeted to a specific audience, you get a lot more engagement. Like people listening to Wicked Roadie are people in Rhode Island looking for things to do. Right. They're listening very closely, very engaged. Like when I listen to Wicked Roadie, I am listening and I'm thinking, okay, that seems interesting. I go to your website, then I go to the website of the event. I actually went to the model train show.
Right, yes. And actually, we talked about that in a recent podcast. We talked about your review because your son.
Yeah, so I have a 3.5-year-old and a 1-year-old, and every weekend, my husband Jamie and I are like, okay, what are we going to do to entertain these kids? Sure. We always need things to do and places to go, and it was so, and there are tons of like event calendars and blogs. I don't like to read. I don't have time for that. I like to listen. I like to listen to my content. I like you guys just spoon feed me the information. Don't make me sift through all the articles. And yeah, we went to the model training show, and it was so cool because there's this table of like 5 women, probably in their 70s, and they have like their paper and their pens, and they're like, "Where did you hear about the show?" And I was like, "The Wicked Rhody podcast. Do you know what a podcast is?" They're like, "No." And I was like, "Well, it's this great show, and it's hosted by Ben DeCastro and Mary Larson, and they tell you all about what's going on, and they talked about your show." They were like, "Oh." No,
it's funny you say that because I've explained podcasting to so many people, and I feel like the Northeast, podcasting just didn't take off like it did, say, on the West Coast or down south.
I am in California several times a year.
Okay.
Because of, like, I go to conferences for podcasting and marketing events, and they're in California, they're in Texas, they're in Florida. And there are some conferences, like there's an event in Maine called, I think, I haven't been to it, so I forget what it's called. There are some in like Boston and Maine, but that's one of the reasons I just recently started the Rhode Island Podcasters Facebook group, because I'm meeting people like you, and of course I know Mary and Helena Dodo, who has that Newport show.
Okay, yes, yeah.
And so I'm like, we need to get together and, like network and socialize, because there are podcasters and entrepreneurs in Rhode Island, obviously.
Sure.
So we don't all need to fly to other places in the country to enjoy the benefits of getting together face to face.
Yeah. The way that I explain what a podcast is to so many people, it's like, okay, it's content on demand.
Yeah.
And they sort of connect with the on demand word, but they don't connect with the word content.
Right.
So it's
like the lingo that only marketers use.
Yes. So, but it's been fun explaining it to people and getting people to understand what it is, because with what I do with social media and coaching and strategy stuff, I listen to about a dozen podcasts every week. And, I listen to Mary's and Blake's different podcasts that they have as well, whether it be show-related, parent-cast related.
Yeah.
I'm not a parent yet, but one day, that may happen.
Yeah.
Calm down, Grandma. This is not the announcement you've been looking for, okay? There's so many great shows out there that deliver that. I mean, I learn things that people pay thousands of dollars to go to either some kind of a training seminar or a conference or college classes to learn about.
Yeah.
And you're getting that information, and you can do what you want with it afterwards, whether you want to dig deeper and do some further, training on it. But it's so key and critical. So your company is simply the clearinghouse, international clearinghouse, okay? The international clearinghouse for guests, and you're just really making those.
Yeah, we're making the introductions and the connections.
That's huge.
People together.
How many clients do you have?
We have around close to 100
Okay,
clients.
that's huge.
Yeah,
that's a lot.
Yeah, we're booking well over 300 interviews a month.
Wow.
I have a team of about 8 guest bookers.
Okay.
That work for me and that find the podcasts and find the guests and make the introduction. So I started the business. I started as a virtual assistant, and I was doing like everything myself. And as I grew, I started bringing on people to work for me. So, I mean, a lot of the people, like they work from home, they're independent contractors, so they can do it on their schedule. A lot of the people that work for me are moms, so they're kind of working around when they're with their kids, which as a mom myself and as someone who started her business as a stay-at-home mom with a baby, I like being able to provide that to other moms, because it's hard when you're a mom and you need income, or you want to have something else other than like toys and park play dates. Like, you need to get your creative and like professional output somewhere, but you don't want to put your kid in daycare and go work full time somewhere. So and that's just kind of, I think, where our whole country is moving. We're moving towards a more entrepreneurial society, where people are not only starting their own businesses, but working as independent contractors, so they can control their schedule and they can control their pay and their income and all that good stuff.
You're a mom, you got 2 kids, and you got a husband, Jamie.
Yes.
So you guys moved here from Philly about 7 years ago.
Yeah, my husband and one of the reasons I was asking you about, you know, you and your wife having started long distance is we were long distance for about 3 years.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow.
So we met at our
Hear that,
job.
Susan? We're not the only one.
Not the only one. Yeah, so we met back in 2007 working for a nonprofit called Clean Water Action. They have office in Providence.
Yep.
And so we met in the Philadelphia office, and just 2 weeks after we met, he was moved to this office up here. So we found love right away.
This is a sitcom. This is like a made for Hallmark TV.
I know.
Right here.
So yeah, we fell in love. 2 weeks later, he moved to Rhode Island, and thank goodness Southwest Airlines have very cheap direct flights from Philly and Providence. They don't actually have that route anymore.
Really?
Yeah. So
well, you guys aren't traveling it, so I mean it kind of put it out of business. So
we put him out of business because then I moved up here. So when I graduated, he's 4 years older than me. So when I met him right after my freshman year, and he was just a year out of college. So I finished school. I went to Temple, and then I moved up here. Day after I graduated from Temple, I moved up here, and that was 2010.
Wow.
So
where was the wedding?
Longer. Providence.
In Providence.
We made everyone come to Rhode Island because
there you
we
go.
love Rhode Island.
Look at that.
Like we weren't born here. We've been here. I've been here almost 7 years. 2017 soon. And he's been here longer than that, like over 10 years now. And we love it here. And now, I have an online business, so I can work anywhere. And Jamie has a job where his job is remote. He works from home. Okay. And some of our friends and family are like, well, you could work anywhere, so why are you still in Rhode Island? Because it's awesome. It's so affordable. We're right near the bay. There are cities that you could go to, either Boston or Providence, are not that far away. Like, it's all here.
Yeah. When Sue and I got married, just because of our family size different, my family is kind of large. Yeah. It was easier to have. We had it in Narragansett. We had all these people come in for our wedding. Yeah. And people were just kind of stunned. They're like, oh, I can just go to Boston? Yeah, it's not that far. And it was cool because, my mom's family, which, primarily from the Pawtucket area, my dad's family from the Portsmouth area, they got to travel to Narragansett, which for a Rhode Islander, that's huge.
You better get a hotel room.
Some of them did.
I mean, for a wedding, I understand if you're drinking, you don't want to drive an hour home. But...
Sure. No, we had a morning wedding on a Friday, and we did brunch. It was a very retail-friendly wedding. Because I came from a retail background with marketing and stuff. Yeah. So. Jazz band. It was pretty cool, right at the towers there in Narragansett. It was cute. Yeah. It was fun. So, working to build this business, if you could offer one piece of advice to somebody who's out there, maybe started their own business, or thinking of it, what's the one thing you tell people just to help get them? I should qualify that. What's the one thing you tell moms?
Moms. Okay, my biggest piece of advice, and this is for moms, and not moms, is to get a coach or, a mentor, somebody that has been there already, somebody that has built a business or, built a business like that you want to build, or somebody that's more experienced in business and who can guide you along, because there are, if you've never built a business before, there's just so much you don't know what to do. And so for me, my dad is a business coach. So he helped me at the beginning. He was really able to guide me along and tell me what to do. And then that is his core business. He's a business coach and has a mastermind. So I started investing. Actually, I now pay him for his business coaching because I'm in his mastermind group. And so that's my biggest piece of advice, because when you do start, I think the biggest difference, and this is important for moms to know, is because a lot of moms say, oh, I want to start a business so I can work from home. But sometimes what they're really looking for is a work from home job. Because when you start a business, you have to invest and you have to put money out before you actually make money. Like I met this mom at the park our kids were playing at the playground, and we just got chatting, and she's like, oh, what do you do? And I told her, I'm like, I have a guest booking agency. And she goes, oh, is the money good there? And I was like, well, yeah, I do okay now, but for a long time, money was not good. I wasn't really making any money. I was going into debt for a long time because I was building and investing and reinvesting. And then, that's just the journey of being an entrepreneur, is it takes time to actually pay yourself a salary. There's people that I look around at, friends that I have in business, who I saw one client of mine just said, I just started paying myself a salary. you know? And
Takes
it's
time.
like, you don't know that when you see like the fancy graphics and the Facebook posts, you just assume everyone's, you know, raking it in. But in reality, they're reinvesting so much of their profits into the business to grow it, because it's not just a job with a nice salary, you know?
Right.
So, but get a coach, because they can help you get there faster.
It's funny. I blog from time to time on my website, and one of the blog posts that I wrote a while ago was called, was about getting coaching.
Yeah.
And I suggest that to anybody. I don't care who they are. I mean, musicians they can be, I mean, Bruce Springsteen has a vocal coach. Who's bigger than him?
Yeah. There's always somebody who knows more about something that you don't know.
You're totally. And that's the whole idea behind the coaching thing, and my comparison, which I know you're an Eagles fan.
Sorry.
It's okay. As the Lord, we're all his children. Some of us just need more help than others. But I made the comparison between Bill Belichick and Tom Brady. If you put Tom Brady and Bill Belichick on the 50-yard line, and you said, okay, it's a sprint, 50-yard sprint, who's going to win? Tom Brady. He's more athletic.
Mm-hmm.
Or if it was a throwing contest, who can throw it farther? It's Tom Brady. But Bill Belichick's the coach. He's the mastermind behind it. And the coaching is important. And Tom Brady has a coach for many things. You know, he has a style coach. He has a PR coach. He has all these different coaches to help him excel in all these different areas. So really, when it comes down to that coaching and utilizing the service of a coach, it doesn't just have to be, you know, there's no one coach fits all.
Yeah.
There's a lot of different things that you can grab. And being part of Mastermind Group, I know you're doing that, is phenomenal, because it's that inherent protected ideas that you guys and girls can collaborate on, which is huge.
I mean, the point about the different coaches. So my dad's a business building and he's a marketing coach. He knows how to, you know, find hidden revenue streams and marketing. But I have my accountant specialized in small business. She's a tax coach. She is the one that's going to help me figure out, how much do I pay myself in salary? How much do I pay myself in distribution? How do I save in taxes? So, you know, there's a tax coach, there's a marketing coach, there's people that, speaking coaches that can help you, you know, do better speaking. There's podcasting coaches. So, and it's kind of like, when you get all these different coaches, you feel like you have this board of advisors for your business.
Really? No, it really is. And that's such a huge thing to have that. So, all right, we've talked a lot of business.
Mm-hmm.
You moved to Rhode Island 7 years ago.
Yeah.
All right. Your children were born in Rhode Island.
Oh, I hear the Rhode Island accents coming out of my son now.
That's great. That is awesome. What's your son's name?
Nathan.
You're welcome, Nathan.
The car.
Carpooling with Ben. It's actually no R in the title.
Yeah.
So being in Rhode Island over these 7 years, how many different Dunkin' Donuts have you visited?
I'm preparing myself because you're going to throw me out, but I don't really like Dunkin' Donuts.
Well, we're driving by TF Green Airport right now, which is located in
War.
I'm just gonna, you know, see if Southwest can just, you know, not even just stop, just pack you a parachute. Go for it. All right, so you're not okay. All right, that's fine. Are you a Starbucks fan?
No, but I like Coffee Exchange in Providence.
Okay, they're very good. Yeah.
We actually buy our coffee. We live in Warwick, but we get our coffee beans. We're kind of coffee snobs. We make our coffee in a French press every morning and we grind our coffee fresh before we make it. So.
Nothing wrong with that.
And we get it from the Coffee Exchange. So local Rhode Island. I mean, I know that Dunkin' Donuts is from this area too.
Yeah, no, they're born and bred in Quincy. No, that's okay. That's all right.
But I have been to many a Dunkin' Donuts. I do have a 3-year-old who likes donuts quite a bit.
May that 3-year-old hold on to that forever.
Sure he will.
That's big. That's huge. That's good. How many different Bennies have you been to? Because you have one close to the house, so I'm sure you go there.
No.
What?
I don't know if I've ever been in a Benny's.
Memo to Arnold Bromberg and Dante Bellini. I'm sorry.
What do they sell there?
What do they sell at
like
Benny's?
Everything, right? Is it sort of like Ocean State Job Lot? I've been there.
Okay.
I've been at one Benny's, I think.
Good. We're outing people here. Benny's is awesome. Job Lot's awesome too. Ocean
Yeah.
State Job Lot, which was, I don't know if you knew this, Ocean State Job Lot has over 120 locations.
Wow.
There you go.
Yeah.
Benny's is primarily Rhode Island and Massachusetts. Benny's, you can buy a bicycle, and they'll still assemble it for you for the children. You can buy some drywall spackle, maybe some paint. Perhaps you need a new pot or a pan. Maybe you need charcoal briquettes for your barbecue or something. You can get it all at Benny's. Cleaning supplies. When my wife moved here, well, I should say this before that, but when my wife came and visited the first time, I drove her by the Benny's, and she was making sure, she goes, "Is that your store?" I'm like, "No, but I'm going to show you." And we went in there, and I made her walk through. And she goes, "Why do you come in?" I'm like, "Sometimes I just come in to walk around."
Yeah. Is it like a Target? There's just so much stuff. You're like, no,
it's like a Target, just less communist. So it's it's not as not as Target. No, but it's really cool because it's local, and they do a lot of work with Cardi's.
Yeah. Hey, I got my kitchen table Cardi's.
Thank you. They sponsor the show.
And I got my headboard for my bed at Cardi's.
There you go.
Yeah.
Great. Good.
I like Cardi's.
So you like it? So you're adapting the local flair.
Yeah.
And flavor.
I mean, one thing that Rhode Island has that my hometown does not have quite as much local businesses.
Okay.
The local business, the local restaurants. I mean, in my hometown where I grew up, it's really hard to find local mom and pop stores, restaurants. Like when my mom and dad visit, my mom loves going to Dave's Marketplace.
There you go.
She's like, well, we don't have anything like this in where we where we live. There's only the Acme, the Super Fry, the large grocery stores. So love Dave's Marketplace. There's just a lot of great local businesses that I really like.
Do your friends that come in and visit and people that you talk to find it weird that they fly into Providence, but it's really Warwick?
Well, I don't really have that many people that visit us.
If you're watching, that's an open invitation. Come visit Jess and Jamie in Warwick, Rhode Island. Fly into TF Green, which is technically not in Providence, but it's the Providence Airport.
That is weird. Yeah, a lot of luckily a lot of our friends and family are driving distance away, so we don't have a lot of people that fly in, but it is quite far from Providence.
Is there any other Rhode Island things that I can help clarify for you?
Did you ever go to the Rocky Point,
the amusement park?
Park.
Yes, I did.
So that is one thing that I am disappointed that I never got to experience is the amusement park, because now, I don't know if you've been down there, but it is gorgeous.
Oh, yeah, no, it's beautiful.
I mean, it's like a little, I don't know if it's actually a state park now, but it is just beautiful, large grassy areas, a beautiful walk along the bay.
Sure.
So that's, walking distance for us. And
let me describe Rocky Point Park for you, if you will. Close your eyes and imagine a nice hot summer day right by the bay. You're riding rides like the Flume and the Corkscrew. And for lunch, you're going to pack yourself into a massive hall with a couple hundred people and have a refreshing, delicious bowl of hot clam chowder before you go back and ride more rides like the House of Horrors or the Enterprise or the Music Express. Doesn't that sound awesome?
It does.
Rhode Island, it was like a point of controversy when they got the free fall. I'll never forget this because it was literally, it was the biggest news of the summer. The free fall is in Rhode Island. People used to take a quarter, put it on their knee when they would go down the free fall because it would lift you, it would go all the way up, and then it would just drop, and so the quarter would just kind of float right there. It's really cool, but of course everybody's like, "Oh, it's dangerous." Oh, it's like, yes, it is.
Yes, it is.
But it's fine.
Yeah.
They actually used to have a saltwater pool.
Oh, cool.
Cool is one word you could use to describe it. Weird, because we have the Narragansett Bay right there.
Right.
But it was pretty cool. They used to have that but that was where you went. You could come with your family, come with your friends. It's the Rocky Point tradition, because it's summertime again. Rocky Point, it's so exciting. Rocky Point, where you can enjoy the rides. Rocky Point, it's your excitement to share the summertime. Rocky Point.
That's the
theme song.
Theme song is to say.
Right,
you were on a roll there.
Boom. I probably messed up some of the words, and I apologize to Roger
was good.
Williams for messing that up. So,
but if any local Rhode Islanders born and raised here haven't been back down to see what it's like now, I highly recommend it.
It's a gorgeous
beautiful.
park. We have such awesome parks here in the state.
We do.
You know, it's
Yeah.
I come from the East Bay. You're from the Neck, as it were.
The fancy part
I
of
said
Warwick.
I had to come overseas to do this interview today.
I know.
But it's a lot of fun. Well, Jess, people can learn more about you by visiting your website, which is
interviewconnections.com. Actually, jessicarhodes.biz. That's the better place to go. RHODES. I'm sure you'll put that there. But jessicarhodes.biz. I have a weekly blog, podcast, video.
See, at first I thought it was because you were just a Rhode Island person with the roads to success and all that other stuff.
Yeah.
But come to find out, maybe it was just fate.
It's a good pun.
There you go. There you go. Jess, great chatting with you.
Thanks for having me on the
show.
Have
good luck, and we'll see you around shooting, I'm sure.
Yeah,
awesome.
absolutely.
All right, let's keep driving.